left defenseless. The anti-party hopping bill does not need to be presented at the State Legislative Assembly meeting. Sarawak committed to upgrading to 5G internet. Those are the headlines for tonight. I'm Lorenzo Isaac and this is TVS Nightline. After the federal court today dismissed his lead counsel's application for discharge, Datuk Sri Najib Razak lamented that he is now effectively defenseless in his final appeal against his conviction of misappropriating funds from SRC International Sendirian Berhad, stating that his right to live, liberty and a fair hearing was at stake. Najib said he wished to record his objections in the strongest of terms in relation to the ongoing appeal.
Citing the federal court's ruling in denying his counsel an application to discharge themselves, Najib said his defence could not be put across during the proceedings and only the prosecution was given the opportunity to present their case. He added that it was totally unprecedented for an accused in such a high-profile criminal case to be effectively left without legal representation. Stating that it was most unfortunate he would not be able to present his defense, Najib insisted that he possesses a very strong and credible defense that Hisham, if given reasonable time, would be able to use in his favor. Earlier, Chief Justice Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat, heading a 5-member panel, had said the court was of the unanimous view that Hisham had failed to disclose adequate reasons to justify his recusal bid. She went on to direct that he continued to represent Najib in the appeal. As Hisham was not in a position to make any oral submissions, he agreed to rely on submissions filed by Najib's previous solicitors in the courts below. The Chief Justice then called an ad hoc prosecutor, V. Sitabaram, to make his oral arguments.
The anti-party hopping bill does not need to be presented at the State Legislative Assembly meeting that will convene in November. According to the Speaker of the Sarawak State Legislative Assembly, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Muhammad Asfia Awang Nasar, it's because the review made by the government regarding the provisions of Article 17 of the Sarawak Constitution related to the Anti-Party Hopping Act will soon be completed.
Tidak perlu. Ya. Itu tarikh itu agak jauh. Kita akan menyelesaikan masalah ini dalam masa terdekat. Tidak sampai November. Ya. Saya tahu pihak tertentu menimbulkan artikel 71 kurungan 7. Ya, sebenarnya 71/7/E. Ya. Ini kita akan buat keputusan dalam masa yang terdekat. Ya.
Asfia, when asked to comment on the 15 general election, said that setting a suitable date is among the factors that need to be taken into account. Adding that the mistake of choosing the wrong date will impact the competing parties and leaders.
Tetapi yang saya sebut tadi banyak kesilapan. Ada yang Perdana Menteri yang membubarkan parlimen 3 tahun sebelum penggal itu habis. Itu mesti ada sebab. Apa? Mengapa? How? Why? Baru soalan itu terjawab. Ini penting. Ya, bukan sekadar berapa penghuni dalam kawasan itu, berapa penambahan, bukan itu saja. Yang penting itu adalah pemimpin itu, Perdana Menteri. Bila dia menasihatkan ke bawah duli yang Dewan Agung, bila Parlimen patut dibubar. Di Sarawak, bila Premier itu menasihat Governor, bila Dewan dibubar.
He was speaking to reporters after officiating the Parliament and State Assembly Tour series at the Borneo Convention Centre, Kuching on Thursday.
The Premier of Sarawak announced that the state government is committed to upgrading the speed and penetration of 5G internet throughout the state. He further stressed that the upgrading of the internet speed is important as it is in line with the state government's aim to succeed in the digital economy sector.
Abang Johari said this when launching the 51st State Level Teachers' Day celebration in Limbang on Thursday. He added that the digital economy development involves high investment in digital infrastructure, including cloud and optic technologies. Although the capital required will be expensive, Abang Johari is confident that Sarawak's income will increase exponentially to achieve this aim.
Teachers are encouraged to increase their level of professionalism by participating in scientific enhancement training programs to help improve students' learning capabilities. The Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, said that this effort enables the teaching profession to remain relevant, highly appreciated and respected. As such, the effort is to produce more human capital, especially in facing the challenges of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 era.
According to Abang Johari, teachers are the main force in the development of human capital. Therefore, a solid support is needed from teachers to build students' ability and competence to become a powerhouse in information technology statewide. Abang Johari further stressed that Sarawak needs this ability to elevate dignity and honor and also to ensure Sarawak strives forward. This is in line with the state's government to accelerate a total of 2.8 million population to progress by the year 2030. He added that the Sarawak government is also committed to prioritizing the national education agenda.
Tan Sri Dato' Amar Muhammad Asfia Awang Nasar said the Sarawak government will consider increasing the number of states' legislative and parliamentary seats. He explained that the addition of seats will depend on the statistics and data obtained from the Malaysian Department of Statistics.
Memang. Di mana? Itulah kita ambil kira maklumat-maklumat daripada statistik ini, kawasan mana yang patut ditambah parlimen, kawasan mana yang patut ditambah DUN. Dan bagi Sarawak mudah saja. Masalahnya, cabarannya adalah di Dewan Negara, Dewan Rakyat. Itu masalahnya. Sebab perlu majoriti atau 2/3 perlu. Di Sarawak tak ada masalah.
Asfia said by taking the examples of Senadin and Tupong, which have the highest population, they may need to be reassessed and delimited by adding a new state legislative area. However, he stressed that the addition will not be done now, considering the upcoming 15th general election. So far, Sarawak has 82 state legislative areas and 31 parliamentary seats.
Housing developer Centuria Borneo Land Sendirian Berhad has been ordered to pay a total of RM249,696.37 in compensation to house buyers due to the delayed project. The Tribunal for Housing Purchases President Trabawan Mandi informed that the developer will be given 45 days to compensate the claimants.
According to Trabawan, Centuria Borneo Land Sdn Bhd will be subjected to criminal proceedings if they fail to comply.
For today cases, there are 6 cases. 6 cases. Today is 6 cases. So the claim is only about the late delivery, and because it is in an apartment. So they claim about the unit itself and also the common facilities for the late delivery of the common facilities itself. So most of the cases for today, the delays, the days is 1,000 plus days, the delays.
Previously, a total of 200 home buyers at the Centuria Borneo Semarang Garden held protests at the half-completed homes against the developers' unfulfilled promises. The keys to their homes at Centuria Borneo Semarang Garden were supposed to be handed over to them by this year, following a year's extension. The project began construction in 2018 and was supposed to have over 1,000 homes in 5 phases.
A total of 30 participants from the Satot locality received assistance under the E-Kaseh Welfare and Economic Improvement Program, UKASEH. The program, which is an initiative under the Implementation Coordination Unit, ICU, and the Prime Minister's Department, JPM, aims to increase household income, competence, and the people's standard of living through the distribution of business equipment and skills training.
Memberi peluang untuk mereka meningkatkan pendapatan lebih lagi semasa kita masih dalam cabaran menghadapi wabak COVID-19. Sasaran kita adalah golongan miskin dan miskin tegak untuk mereka dengan objektif mereka dapat menambahkan lagi pendapatan mereka, mengubah pemikiran mereka tidak akan sentiasa miskin dengan bimbingan daripada misalnya daripada pejabat bangunan negeri Sarawak dan inisiatif sedianya sendiri. Apabila diberi bantuan, insya-Allah dengan usaha sedikit kita boleh berjaya juga sebagai usahawan. Satu hari mungkin usahawan yang besar dan boleh jadi jutawan, insya-Allah ya.
Meanwhile, several UKASEH recipients expressed their appreciation for the assistance received and vowed to utilize the equipment given to try to increase their household income, among other things.
Okay, perancangan kami nak improve lagi kami pun bisnes dalam bidang salon lah. Mungkin kami akan upgrade kami pun servis macam-macam lah.
Kita mesti ada semangat, jangan putus asa sih boleh. Kita mesti mau berjuang untuk kebaikan, untuk bagus. Dulu kami pakai tangan, jahit ke tangan, gitu dah ada enjin, syukurlah alhamdulillah lah.
On to our recap. Economists believes that Malaysia's growth is set to be healthy throughout 2022. But will Malaysia be able to maintain its growth projection of 5.3% to 6.3%, especially when there is talk of 8.9% gross domestic product GDP to be achieved by the end of this year? Earlier today, we've had the chief economist from Juwai IQI, Shan Said, who gave us his opinions on how the country's GDP is maintained and remains sustainable against global inflation.
I think at the start of the year, we said that Malaysia's GDP will be trading between 4 and 5%. After the recent Q2 numbers, we expect the economy to grow between 6.5 and 7%. It is based on the premise that macroeconomic stability remains pretty strong. When I talk about macroeconomic stability, I talk about political stability, economic stability, and financial stability. FDI numbers are coming up. The aggregate demand, the domestic demand, is pretty solid at the moment. You see the consumption patterns are on the rise ever since the economy has opened. And most importantly, the government has done vaccination of almost 98% of the population, which is pretty significant, and that has given a boost and support to the government to open up the economy much faster than many other governments. Overall, if you see the trade numbers have touched 270 billion. They are up 43%. In first half of the year, the trade numbers are up 28%. So that really drives the GDP outlook. In terms of numbers, yes, we have always followed Bank Negara's numbers, and we think that these numbers are quite accurate. And Bank Negara has always been quite accurate in terms of the projection when it comes to GDP. So overall, I think we have revised our forecast for Malaysia this year, and we expect that Malaysia's GDP will be trading between 6.5 and 7% this year. And we at JOIIQA remain quite buoyant on the economic outlook.
However, Shan said Malaysia has been spending in excess of its revenue every year since 1998 by issuing debt. Direct federal government debt, which stood at 824 billion ringgit as of end March 2020, has now risen to 1.06 trillion ringgit, or 61.4% of the GDP. Debt servicing charges, which made up 8% of federal government revenue in 2008, has also surged past the 18% mark in 2021. In a rising interest rate environment, it is normal for Malaysians to question the rising debt charges. However, the question looms on whether or not the country is in debt, like Sri Lanka.
I think at the start of the year, we said that Malaysia's GDP will be trading between 4 and 5%. After the recent Q2 numbers, we expect the economy to grow between 6.5 and 7%. It is based on the premise that macroeconomic stability remains pretty strong. When I talk about macroeconomic stability, I talk about political stability, economic stability, and financial stability. FDI numbers are coming up. The aggregate demand, the domestic demand, is pretty solid at the moment. You see the consumption patterns are on the rise ever since the economy has opened. And most importantly, the government has done vaccination of almost 98% of the population, which is pretty significant. And that has given a boost and support to the government to open up the economy much faster than many other governments. Overall, if you see the trade numbers have touched 270 billion. They are up 43%. In first half of the year, the trade numbers are up 28%. So that really drives the GDP outlook. In terms of numbers, yes, we have always followed Bank Negara's numbers, and we think that these numbers are quite accurate. And Bank Negara has always been quite accurate in terms of the projection when it comes to GDP. So overall, I think we have revised our forecast for Malaysia this year, and we expect that Malaysia's GDP will be trading between 6.5 and 7% this year. And we at JOIIQA remain quite buoyant on the economic outlook.
Coming up right after the break, King visits FNSS Defense Systems AS in Turkey, and CIA has attracted 17.25 billion ringgit. Right here on TVS Nightline, stay tuned. Welcome back. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Hari Ayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah, who is on a 7-day state visit to Turkey, visited the FNSS Defense Systems AS, a leading defense industry player in Turkey. The king was received by Turkey's Defense Minister Hulusi Akar and FNSS Chief Executive Gürol Karmikli. Al-Sultan Abdullah, who witnessed a demonstration of the FNSS defense system, was later briefed on the technological defense system developed by the FNSS.
The king was taken on a ride in 2 armored vehicles developed by the FNSS. FNSS has partnered with Malaysian-owned RDB Highcom Defence Technologies, DefTech, to develop ACV-300 Adnan armoured vehicles in Pekan Pahang. FNSS is a globally recognized land systems company that specializes in designing and producing wheeled and tracked armored combat vehicles, as well as combat engineering vehicles, turrets, and sustainability solutions. The armored combat vehicle, which was named Adnan in honor of a soldier, Lieutenant Adnan Saidi, who was involved in a war with Singapore during World War II, has been used by the Royal Malaysian Army for almost 20 years. Malaysia had ordered and received 267 units of the ACV-300. Turkey's defense minister and the management of FNSS later hosted a lunch reception for Al-Sultan Abdullah, who was accompanied by Finance Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz, Foreign Minister Secretary General Datuk Seri Amran Muhammad Zin, and Malaysia's ambassador to Turkey, Sazali Mustafa Kamal.
The Northern Corridor Implementation Authority (NCIA) has successfully attracted approved investments of 17.25 billion ringgit between January and July 2022, which will result in 12,315 new job opportunities. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the investments were supported by continued growth in the electrical and electronics, mechanical and electrical, and medical devices sectors in the Northern Corridor Economic Region.
These positive developments include foreign investments by Balatna Food Industries from Qatar amounting to 2.1 billion ringgit to develop an integrated dairy farm project in Chuping Perlis to support the country's food security agenda. On Thursday, the Prime Minister chaired the 29th NCIA Council Members Meeting, which was also attended by Perak Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Sarani Muhammad, Police Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Azlan Man, and Penang Chief Minister Chow Kon Yao. Ismail Sabri said the federal and state governments will also ensure water supply, electricity and communication networks are available in an effort to convince more investors to the NCER area.
Now on to some global affairs. Spain's worst droughts in decades brought about an unexpected gift for its people, especially archaeologists. The sad gift was the emergence of a prehistoric stone circle from the dam's receding waterline. Archaeologist Enrique Quesadillo of Madrid's Complutense University said that it was a surprise and deems it is a rare opportunity to conduct a study on it.
Es una sorpresa porque es una oportunidad única de volver a valorar un sitio que no se había valorado en su justa medida, primero hacía 100 años y después de una manera muy parcial y muy rápida, no desde luego como los arqueólogos solemos trabajar con unos ritmos bastante lentos y el hecho de volverlo a ver pues supone eso, volver a tener una oportunidad que no habíamos tenido en el pasado. Entonces es muy gratificante.
The stone circle is officially known as the Dolmen of Guadaparal, but dubbed as the Spanish Stonehenge. It is a circle of dozens of megalithic stones believed to date back to 5000 BC. It was first discovered by a German archaeologist named Hugo Obermeier in 1926, but the area was flooded a year after because of the rural development project under Francisco Franco's dictatorship. Before that, it has only been visible 4 times. At the same time, local tourism association have advocated moving the stones to a nearby museum for the general public to witness the amazing discovery.
In the British city of Bristol, an inflatable building was created to explore how people could potentially live on Mars. The public art project by artists Ella Good and Nikki Van aims to help us reassess how we live on Earth. They have spent 7 years bringing space scientists, architects, engineers, designers, and even school children together to think about how to live on the red planet sustainably.
So the idea is that it should be somewhere pleasant for someone to live, somewhere where we can use the scarce resources on Mars to really be able to not only exist but to live a happy and productive life, whatever that person on Mars might be doing.
A team full of experts in creating buildings for extreme environments like Antarctica help with the design, taking into consideration transporting the materials to the red planet. The 2-story, 53-square-meter inflatable house is powered by solar energy and able to cope with average temperatures of negative 63 degrees Celsius. It also has a hydroponic living room, which is surrounded by plants to help people to relax and support a healthy diet.
So this is the hydroponics living room in the Martian House. So here we're thinking rather more expansively about our relationship with plants. So we're not thinking about plants just as something that we use or that we eat, but our relationship and how we live together with plants. So what I've done is I've grown a selection of more aromatic plants, which we'll make into teas and we'll also make into a dye.
Ella Good also said a few things regarding her project.
This is a place for people to think about future living and how the scenario of life on Mars relates to their lives on Earth. Because on Mars you'd have to live within a really small, resourceful community. You'd have to fix everything when it breaks. You'd have to really consider every aspect of your daily life. So it's a place for thinking about about all of those questions.
The project will be open to the public from the end of August until the end of October.
Volunteering is an act of individual for a group freely giving time and labor for community. To know more about the subject, join the head of program and campaign of Ragat Foundation, Leila Ruzaini Hussein, and volunteer leader of Ragat Foundation, Nizar Taib, on Sejahtera Asia tomorrow with hosts Ghazali Zawawi and Jessica Chung, 7:45 a.m. only on TVS Astro Channel 122 and My Freeview. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally by heading onto our official website at TVSTVMY or follow us on our social media platforms. Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Lorenzo Isaac. Thank you for watching. Good night.